Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Come on in, get close. If this is your first time joining us, just know that you are very, very welcome. I am Dr. Ayanna Miller, and I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Dr. Wail Salam. We are an international group of doctors of physical therapy, and this is the Neuro-Wellness Collaborative, where each month we do a little chit chat about different practical strategies that help people to preserve functional mobility, independence, resilience, and their quality of life. Dr. Weil, I was recently listening to a American comedian, and he was talking about how getting older is no good. He was talking about how getting older is just for the birds. And he advised us that whatever dreams you have, whatever you want to do, make sure you do it right now while your body is still with you, because one of these days you look up, you look around, and all of a sudden you're old. And he said that when you're young, you basically have to get into an accident to become injured. But when you're old, you can literally, you have to like rev your engine, and you have to prepare yourself. You have to plan for 10 minutes just to get out of the bed. And if you yawn too hard, you can literally end up in the hospital with a full rib cast because you didn't stretch first. And so these things sound kind of funny. And I can relate because, yes, I can't do a lot of what I used to do when I was much younger. But the changes that he was talking about and making jokes about, they really are due in large part to hormones. And this is something that we seldom think about. We really don't talk about it a lot. And in many cases, we just reduce this whole concept of hormones to reproduction. Somehow we think that hormones are only about reproduction, but the truth is hormones are very powerful chemical messengers that have truly profound influence over our movement, our strength, our energy, our recovery, our balance, and whether or not we remain independent towards the end of our life. And so the backstory is that these hormones are derived, they come from various, tissues and organs, and particularly glands throughout the body. The glands are what comprise the endocrine system, and they produce these various hormones that, along one particular communication pathway, they give specific messages to whatever tissue or organs that they might be communicating with. And they do this in kind of a lock and key fashion. The hormone kind of carries a message to the door of the tissue or the organ, and they kind of unlock the door, and then the organ or the tissue knows how to carry out these hundreds of functions that our bodies carry out each day. So certainly it's not only reproduction, it's storing fat, it's metabolism, it's repairing tissue, it's sleeping, it's waking up, it's mood and body temperature, I said reproduction before. It's blood sugar regulation, it's blood pressure regulation, it's burning energy. You're talking about building muscle, and there's just so many others. And so I particularly singled out the endocrine system specifically because the endocrine system is like the motherboard of the hormonal control. It's where hormones are created and are synthesized, and these hormones literally rule our functional abilities. The connection between the endocrine system and the hormones is very important because the endocrine system undergoes really significant changes over the lifespan. There's at least, I think about 50 known hormones. So again, you can kind of imagine that hormones are not just relegated to reproduction, okay? And some of the key hormones that matter the most for our physical function include testosterone, um, growth hormones, insulin-like growth factor, the IGF. One and the DHEA. Some of them have very, very long names. Some of the names of the hormones are kind of like sentences almost. And they really do affect the production of muscle tissue, bone density, mobility in men and women. And, you know, we can't discount cortisol, we can't discount insulin, the thyroid hormones and estrogens impact on a woman's strength. And so when this lock and key mechanism of communication among the hormones is disrupted, even a little bit, you can see changes in some of these functions that I mentioned, and of course in some of the other functions that I didn't mention as well. And sometimes it's to the degree that medical treatment may even be required if the interplay of hormones and poor lifestyle choices or pre-existing conditions, comorbidities, and environmental influences lead to or add to disease, if they increase the impact of disease. So let's just take a look at a few of the key hormones that I mentioned. For example, testosterone and estrogen, the sex hormones, or a couple of the sex hormones. They promote muscle tissue synthesis, strength, recovery in men and women. Testosterone activates muscle stem cells and it regulates hemoglobin levels, which of course directly affects oxygen delivery to muscle tissue. And if you're a person that exercises, you know that this is very, very important for muscle function. And so the primary physical function that testosterone affects is going to be muscle strength, bone density, and stamina. Again, not just reproduction. If we look at the growth hormones, they're responsible for overall tissue maintenance, body composition. In other words, your body's laying down of lean muscle and fatty tissue. It's responsible for the ability to recover from exercise. Okay, but its primary physical function that it affects, the primary physical function that it affects is the regulation of metabolism and muscle repair, and also, again, body composition, where fat and lean muscle tissue are deposited and placed around the body. DHEA, another, very, very long sentence like hormone, is kind of like what I consider in my mind to be the circulating overflow hormone precursor. It's converted by the tissues into masculine and feminine hormones based on the body's needs, such as muscle mass, bone density, red blood cells, and so on. And its primary physical function kind of affects our vitality, muscle speed, and tissue synthesis. Dr. Wail, what do you think about this whole notion of hormones influencing the lifespan? I know that you deal primarily with the young people with pediatrics. What are your thoughts on hormonal influences?
Yeah, we need. Thank you for you, Ayanna. Dr. Ayanna, hormones and nervous system are responsible for controlling our body, all our body activity, on all our daily living activities. Hormones simply is a chemical substance, like what you said, that send from one organ to another organ to affect the other organs. And they
Right.
are very essential. We have a lot of hormones. I want to give you some tips. I want to talk about. I don't want to go further in what is hormone, what we can do in it, but I give you a tips. You have,
Yes.
first of all, you have to be in balance. Excess hormone, less hormone, this is dangerous. And each hormone depends on other hormones. They are working in a cycle. Like they are like an orchestra who
Right.
each hormone had his own rule. So I give you first step. First step for hormone to regulate your hormone, the sun. Wake with the
Yeah.
sun, sleep with the sun, stay on the sun. When you sleep with the sun, that means melatonin. Melatonin means sleeping. Sleeping is a big process, it's very vital process in our body for refuel and growth, everything. Sleeping is very, very important period in our life. If you don't sleep well, 10 years you will be added to your age. Take care. 10 years, you will grow up if you don't sleep well. So good sleeping is a very vital process. So sleep with the sun, wake with the sun. Wake with the sun, it means cortisol. Sleep with the sun means melatonin. Cortisol is very essential part in our life for waking activity and for increase my heart rate, increase my blood pressure, increase the glucose level of my blood. It make easily my body ready to for stress activity and be ready for various activity I have to do. So wake with the sun, sleep with the sun, sleep with the sun for melatonin, wake with the sun for cortisol, and stay with the sun on the sun for vitamin D. Vitamin D is also iron hormone and is also hormone. Very essential hormone is vitamin D for increasing our metabolic rate. So we have to stay in the sun, and especially the sun on the middle of the day with complete rays, with a dense meal of the sun at the midday. Stay with the sun for at least half an hour for white persons, and for dark persons stay more because we have more melanin that will take us from the sun. So you have to stay more, maybe go for 1 hour, stay on the sun for vitamin D, very essential for our metabolism and also our bone and our take care from the caffeine. Drink caffeine at early morning only, not at the night. Caffeine on coffee it's responsible for decreasing the melatonin, so it enhance the cortisol. So it's good at early morning, but don't take it at before at the night because you depress your melatonin. Take it. Also
Mhm.
exercise. Yes, okay. Also exercise. Take care from exercise. Our muscles, we have the biggest organ in our body, the muscles. The muscles act as a gland. The muscles release pyruvate and lactic acid. Lactic
Yeah.
acid and pyruvate, they are simple form of glucose. And my heart love it, and my brain love it, and my muscle love it. This is a simple form and they use it easily. And also it connected with my hormonal activity. So the muscle, if how can I get pyruvate and also lactic acid when I'm making strenuous exercise with uh, big muscles like my lower limb muscle or something like that. So it's essential for me to go for training and exercise daily to get more hormones and be happy. Okay. Also take care from stress management. Stress is very essential for us. Stress means that I have to use my extra work. I want to go to my border, go to my limit, so my body give me support by stress. This is stress. If I go to any other, we have two kind of stress. We have both stress when I'm doing exercise, when I'm doing essential work. This is good stress. But take care. Stress is a um, like you are going in an emergency state. Take care from stress. That's emergency. I have to stay in emergency for a little time, not to stay a long time in emergency. This is
Right.
good for you, but you have to manage stress. Take care from negative stress that you are a loser, that you are doing something bad, so you are in emergency for a long time, heart rate for a long time, high heart rate for a long time, high blood pressure for a long time, high glucose level for a long time, it will destroy you. But stress is very essential, but we have to know how to manage stress. Also, pleasure versus happiness.
Yes.
A lot of happiness is good. Pleasure and happiness they are playing with each other. If I increase pleasure by food or sexual activity or whatever, that decreases happiness. Happiness is love, gathering, my friends. So that is serotonin and this is dopamine. Take care from that also. Also, I want to talk about that a reward system. We have a reward system. We have to initiate all or stimulate all the time the reward system. When I interact with something that I consider it is a reward for me. Dopamine increased and released, and now
Mhm.
I feel that pleasure and I'm happy and going to the memory that I go. I have a good memory. I want to move and I have a good thinking. That's the effect of reward system. So keep all the time to initiate and stimulate your reward system. This is
Love.
some notes, okay, for your how to can use your homework. Lastly, the food. take care of the food from the food. When
Yeah.
I eat balanced food without constipation, that means good insulin and sexual hormone and like testosterone and estrogen, it will be
Yes.
one of them will work. So insulin, when I eat when I have my stomach have a food, so insulin increased and other hormone will be decreased. So but take care from constipation. Constipation means that you have food in your stomach and the insulin will be work. So it's essential. Also, fasting. Don't say fasting, but the process of transmission of food. Your digestive system like a factory, and it transmits the food, and it will be should be moved and not blocked, like in constipation.
Right.
So
Right.
we have to eat, get out of our food, relax. So I have to feed, get rid of my food, okay, and then relax. So we have this is if I fasting means that a lot of testosterone, a lot of growth hormone, also strenuous exercises give good sexual hormones and growth hormone.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Weil. And there's, again, the interplay of all of these messengers is so very intricate. It's so sophisticated, coupled with, like you said, our connection to the earth, our connection to the sun, the stimulation of um, uh, um, the melatonin and um, our sleep and wake cycles. I'm over 50, so my memory is not, but the stimulation of our sleep and wake cycles is really, really important. And so being able to connect with the sun in order to it regulates, it helps to regulate our master clock that tells us when to rise, tells us when it's time to go to sleep. Very, very important. The ability to have growth hormone for repair is really, really critical, especially when you mention exercise having such a part in strength training when you're an adult. And it's really important to also understand that it's during this adulthood that we begin to see the sex hormones that you reference kind of plateau and stabilize. The muscle strength that you mentioned from, circulating growth hormones, circulating testosterone, circulating estrogen, and other hormones. The bone density, again, it peaks as well. And we kind of reach our maximum recovery capacity during adulthood also. We're sort of like at our best during this time of life. And it's very, very, it's very important. But then as we kind of move away from early to middle adulthood and we start to get more into the latter years, we see that those sex hormones that kept us strong, that kept us able to do resistive exercises that you mentioned, Dr. Wael, they kind of begin to decrease. And then the consequence becomes like testosterone loses its influence over hemoglobin. Again, we begin to see that aerobic capacity decreases. So muscles atrophy, we become weaker, fat is redistributed. And so you mentioned also being very careful about nutrition and our intake. You talked about being careful about constipation because we already know that hormonal influences bear on how fat is redistributed. So if our nutrition and our intake is also a poor lifestyle choice, then that's going to have a dramatic effect on how fat is redistributed, how much fat is redistributed, hormones that are hormones that are secreted from fat. So it can kind of disrupt the communication system that I mentioned earlier, and again, throw you into a state of imbalance. And here again, put you in a position where you could potentially need medical care if the imbalance becomes too severe and if the interplay between poor choices and pre-existing conditions becomes too severe as well. Also, as we age and we see some of the sex hormones decrease. We experience a lack of energy. Our balance decreases, and our risk of fall increases because, again, our muscles have changed. Our strength changes because of like Dr. Wail mentioned, the testosterone, the estrogen influences, the sex hormonal influences on our muscles as we age begins to decrease. And especially like with women around age of 40, we begin to see a decline in strength. If you're watching and you're a woman in your 40s and you've noticed some changes in your muscle strength, your grip is not what it used to be. You can't open those jars like you used to. Leave a comment and and let us know what you're going through. Let's discuss. So these are some very important issues for us to be concerned with. Growth hormone that you mentioned, Dr. Wael, it decreases by 14% every 10 years. So after you hit the age of 40, you really begin, after you hit the age of 30, you really begin to see a decrease in body composition, the influence, I should say, of growth hormone in body composition, where where fat is being deposited, where lean muscle is being deposited, whether lean muscle is being synthesized. So we see the abdomen kind of increase. And again, like you said, Dr. Wael, you want to be very careful about your nutritional intake, because if your hormonal influences are already affecting fat composition, body composition, you don't want to add to that by having poor nutrition. Osteoporosis begins to progress in women when growth hormone decreases. And so the influence over tissue maintenance begins to decrease. We see slower recovery times if there's injury to cells or to tissues or body systems. Again, muscle mass begins to decrease. And men don't tolerate resistance exercise. Dr. Wael again mentioned, how important muscle exercise is as an adult. And so a man's tolerance for resistance training begins to decrease as growth hormone decreases. And this also places us at greater risk for fall and weakness. If growth hormone is not synthesizing muscle tissue, if repair and recovery is diminishing, then that means your muscles are not going to have that burst of strength to help you remain stable. You won't have the strategy, as we call it in rehab, to help you to prevent falls. And the weakening of the muscles will contribute to your potential to fall as well. DHEA, it decreases over time, as we kind of get beyond early and middle adulthood. And this attributes to further loss of muscle and bone tissue synthesis. We have more frailty as we lose DHEA. We see that men kind of become slower in their walking speed. And the slower you walk, the increase in risk of falls that you will have. And of course, if you're at risk of falls, you're at risk of bone injury. And so here again, I think back about the comedian who talked about, as a young person, you have to literally get into an accident to become injured. But as a more mature adult who has undergone hormonal changes, all you need is weak muscles or weakened muscles, increased risk of falls, and you can become injured very easily. And he joked about having a body cast just because you yawn too hard, but you really can break bones a little more easily as you become aged, and the hormonal influences over bone tissue synthesis decreases. Women lose their mobility and upper body strength as they get older. As tissue synthesis and repair slows down during the reduction of hormonal influences, again, recovery is also going to slow down. So, Dr. Wael, do you have any other thoughts about hormones affecting physical function, or is there something you wanted to really maybe emphasize for those who may be watching, something that you wanted to kind of, really highlight that you think people should keep in mind about hormones affecting their physical function, something that you feel is very important.
Yeah, thank you. I want to mention that aging process starts when we were born. After we completely functionally and content is formed in uterus
Yeah.
and first time birth, we start to aging and we start to use our body organs according to your usage, according to your aging process.
Yeah.
Use your body. I have one knee and I live with my knee all my life. I don't have another knee. So take care about your knee. You don't have another one. To find your knee good in 50 and 60 and 70. So take care about that process. You have to good usage and we have to be in balance. And you have to know that in our aging, I have a good statement. Or I heard a good statement from 0 to 10 play, from 10 to 20 study,
Yes.
from 20 to 30 work in small business, from 30 40 specialized, from after 50 use your experience and you have to you see our young people with you to help you, and after 60 enjoy your life because you are start living. So it's easy for me each time our yes, each time of our life it's a cycle and we have hormone to help us in all of these stages. Yes, I have growth hormone when I was young, now, but now I don't want extra growth hormone. But if
Right.
I am balanced, is I'm balanced in feeding, sleeping, social activity, and physical activity in all of our activity. If we will be balanced, and we have also, I want to finish my words by our body will follow us. Use your body. Your body is in demand. When you want something, your body will make it to you. But you have to understand your body, give good message to your body, and follow your body instructions.
Absolutely. Thank you for those very, very important points, Dr. Weil. I mean, look, our body is our most important asset that we have. And I know that we are really at time, but I just want to kind of debunk some of the myths that people think about. When people think about hormones, sometimes they have the wrong idea. Firstly, there's this whole idea that hormones matter only in the case of women. This is absolutely not true. As we've discussed here today, hormones affect men, women, children. They are the drivers of almost every function in the body. Number two, that hormones affect only fertility or reproduction. Absolutely not. As you have heard us discuss, I mean, we've only highlighted maybe one or two handfuls of hormones today, but there are so many hormones that affect, nearly every tissue in your body. So certainly reproduction is only one out of hundreds. Number three, that feeling tired means that you're getting older. Well, not necessarily. Poor sleep, like Dr. Wael mentioned, not being connected with the sun, not having melatonin regulated is going to have an effect. Your nutrition, again, if you're overeating, if you're constipated, if you are secreting excess hormone from fatty tissues and otherwise, or if you disrupt the interplay of hormones with various body systems, it's going to age you prematurely. Um, what about the organs and glands? Okay, if there's a disruption with them, it can also affect hormonal communication. So that can cause you to feel tired as well. So a lot of these different things could be factors, and it's not just getting older that means you're going to, or it's not just getting older that has effect on whether you feel tired, or you're feeling tired is not simply because of getting older. Number four, exercise will fix all of the hormonal problems. No, not necessarily. Exercise, like Dr. Weil mentioned, is one lifestyle factor that dramatically helps to improve hormonal balance and Dr. Weil talked about how in early to mid adulthood, you really need to strengthen your body. And then certainly in the latter stages, you want to have a lifestyle of remaining active, but that's only one factor. It may not be enough. There may be other issues that also could require you to have uh, health health care intervention, I should say. And number five, just because your hormones change, that means you're going to become disabled. No, this is not a horror story. And as we talked about, you do have hormonal changes over the lifespan. Dr. Weil mentioned how in your early stages you need, or in your youth, you need more growth hormone. You need the thyroid hormones. You may need more effect of insulin. Melatonin may be more important for you, getting sleep so that you can rest and repair. Dr. Weil mentioned that sleeping is when we recover and repair. But then as the bell curve occurs and we reach adulthood, we kind of peak. And in latter years, we kind of decrease. Dr. Weil talked about how you don't need certain hormones later in life. So just because the hormones change, it's not a horror story. It doesn't mean that you're going to automatically become disabled. No, it means that your lifestyle should shift, and you should, like Dr. Weil said, you should take care of the areas of your life that are necessary to keep your hormones in balance. Um, I do also want to mention one thing just before we go. And Dr. Weil, if you have another practical takeaway, you certainly let us know. But when we're young, a lot of times I find that we judge older people. We judge elders. I think there's room for sensitivity towards aging populations. Older people don't choose to be weak. They don't choose to be frail. They don't choose to have cognitive changes. And all of this is controlled by, in large part, by hormonal changes. They don't choose to lose their balance. None of this is their option. It happens as a consequence of biology. And if you, like my father used to say, if you live long enough, it will happen to you too. No one is born old. We are all born young. We have lots of growth hormone. We have lots of testosterone during middle age, early to middle age. Dr. Weil referenced having the sex hormones that are strong and in abundance during the early parts of life. But then all of us are subject to decreases in these circulating chemicals, these circulating messengers later in life. Nobody chooses to have these changes occur. So I think that there is room for sensitivity as our bodies change, as we see people, Dr. Weil talked about, as we go from 60 and beyond. That's the time to start enjoying life and have younger people around. But I think that it is incumbent upon everyone at every stage in life to understand and respect the cycle of life that Dr. Weil talked about. Dr. Weil, did you want to add another practical takeaway, or did
Yeah,
you?
I have an experience from 10 years ago. I was in Canada and I am enjoying running, and I running 2 hours without stop. Always I do that. And when I running, people running around me, and I saw a very old woman,
Okay.
very at least 70, at least 70, and she's running in front of me. And when I run, I want to make like a competition. I want to go farther from her. I increase
Right.
my running stats. Okay, when I increase it, my heart rate increased, and I can lost my breath. I can't catch her, and she go
Wow.
away from me. And
Wow.
at the moment, I was about 40 years. Okay, and she is so older for me. So aging is a status. It is not an a years.
Absolutely.
Aging is a status. And
Yes.
you choose your status. You can keep your body and anti-aging process. So aging is a status. It is not a years. It is not my, and especially with me, because I working with children with physical disability, and they will grow. I saw them, they will be aging early, and some of them aging lately. Aging is a status, it's not an time or an age years.
Exactly. Wow. That is a mouthful. Very, very powerful. I love that. Aging is your status. It is not necessarily according to your years. Hey, that pretty much says it all right there. You're absolutely right. We have a lot of control over aging if we allow this crucial part of our lives, the hormones, to be disrupted unnecessarily. Like you said, in early stages we can age quickly, but then that I love that story, Dr. Wael, about this mature woman who was very youthful. So clearly she had a lifestyle where she took care to make sure that she delayed some of the symptoms that go along with age related disruptions in hormonal patterns and so on. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. We are your movement and functional health authority. We're here to help you to keep your body working the way it was supposed to, and we want to help you to prevent your body from breaking down prematurely. We don't just treat symptoms. We try to get to the root cause. We try to help educate so that people can prevent becoming disabled. We're here every first Saturday of the month from 12 to 12:30 Eastern or New York time. So we invite you to like the channel. We invite you to subscribe. And don't forget, invite your family and your friends, but of course, invite your enemies too. Until next time, everyone, have a wonderful weekend. And we are the Neuro-Wellness Collaborative. We'll see you again. Remain resilient and
Bye.
remain functional. Bye.